A couple of days ago we spoke about design interiors. Now we're getting into building of these. It's like you always say, Claire, it's where you lose control of the job.
Not always in a bad way, but you feel like you're passing it over. When you're paying $2 million for the build circa, across 3, it's not even 10 grand of saving. To lower a product to 10K across the whole development, is it going to impact the way people look at this at the other end?
Sash, how important is it to have a good builder on a job?
So there are a few things when we are looking at selecting a builder, like definitely.
Hey guys, welcome back to Peter Kelly Property. We're gonna wrap up this 3-part mini-series of one of our fave projects, Dorothea Townhouse development site. 3 townhouses, all completed, all done, all gone to market. A couple of episodes we started with Gav, looking at the acquisitions, why he liked the site, why he bought the site. Last episode, if you missed that also, Claire and Sasha, we went deep on design and interiors. So make sure you check that one out. And today, we're gonna wrap it up talking about construction, handover, and how we got these ready for sale. So talking about the tender process, was there value managing done on this site? Was the build number where everyone expected? We'll cover all that. Remember, get across to Instagram, please come say hello, dropping stuff over there all the time, littlefishnetwork.com.au, become a fish, thank me later. All right guys, let's get into it. Hey guys, Claire, Sash, welcome back. Thanks for coming back.
Thanks for having us.
A couple of days ago we spoke about design interiors. Now we're getting into the high stakes stuff. We're getting into the building of these. A lot of work goes into it, a lot of risk mitigation, getting to your number, getting a builder picked out. It's like you always say, Claire, it's where you lose control of the job.
Not always in a bad way, but you feel like you're passing it over.
You're passing it over because we've had such control of it since inception. You're passing it over to the builder and you're more so riding shotgun with them rather than managing it. So in the last episode, we did planning, we've achieved our interior design, you've worked on your working drawings, we've got a tender package together. So where do we go from there, Sash?
Yeah, good question, Peter. So once we have the working drawings and every other documentation ready, we would prepare these tender packages, then which we send out to a selected list of builders. So within our builders network, we have particular builders that we have selected, focusing on the suburb that the project is in. So for a good better spread, we would select about 3 to 4. So we would pick 3 to 4 builders to send out the tenders. Once the tenders are out, we would allow for like 4 weeks for them to price and get the tender submissions back. And once we get the tenders back, we would do what we call the post-tender clarifications with the builder to make sure all the builders have priced apples to apples. So this is where we do a spreadsheet comparing all the breakdowns, and if there's any major gaps in between those items, we would then ask the questions from the builders and get the clarifications of exactly what they've allowed for.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome work. So the 3 to 4 builders, potentially builders that we've worked with in the past that have got runs on the board, would you say?
Correct, yeah. Not that we can't have any new builders in, we would definitely have, but the preference would be to have the builders that we have worked with and that we worked on multiple projects.
Yeah, for sure. And a project of this size and this level of value, all those sorts of things, to have that box ticked that we can say to our investors, hey, we've worked with the client on multiple jobs and we can attest for them, is probably a pretty important part of it.
Yeah, that's definitely a positive for a project this scale. And we want to give that assurance for our investors, like you mentioned. And having those builders that we have worked with before is also an opportunity for a new builder who comes in and to be really competitive with their pricing.
Yeah.
And we can,
Yeah, so do you find that a new builder might be a bit more competitive and put their best foot forward?
So having a new builder could be very opportunistic for the project, means they could be trying to be competitive. The new builder will try to compete with the list of other builders we have. The good builders we have will also try to sharpen their prices because it's a valuable project for all of them.
Yeah, for sure. So Nice big project. Obviously what we allowed in the feasibility, what Gav allowed early on, as everyone knows, during this last cycle, build costs have gone up dramatically. So I imagine the build costs weren't exactly where we wanted them to be. Claire, how did we work with the builders to try and get it to a level, because it's a catch-22, isn't it? Taking things out of the project, value managing to get it closer to where was allowed during this inflation cycle that we've been through. But obviously you didn't take out too much because these are fantastic. You know, how'd you work through that?
Yes, we're definitely, we're not strangers to the value management process, there's no doubt. I guess in this instance, which we spoke about last episode, we achieved bigger size dwellings, but we also went through construction price rises. So there was probably an expectation that they were going to come back higher than initially planned for. But like the construction price rise is a price increase you don't want. The increase in size dwellings, you're going to get that back at resales. So there was probably a bit due to us and a bit due to the industry itself. So they did come back higher. And I think, again, we spoke about last episode, we spoke about the design and the interiors, and we had a big focus for this development on keeping the design clean and lovely, but not so much value managing back there, but preempting things that, I think I said the design details, not adding those design details in that were going to add up, but weren't going to get us any more money and weren't going to be recognised or showcased in a house of this size and sort of this design. So I think even though prices came back in high, and first point of call usually is to value manage, I guess we knew going into it that there wasn't a lot to value manage. We had kept the design pretty sharp from the outset.
Yeah, no, I like it. Well, I guess when the prices come back high though, the pressure to potentially pull some of those niceties out is there. Obviously you didn't. What's your advice there around, getting caught up in the little savings that a builder offers because you want to get close to your budget, but potentially you've decimated your product and you're not getting the market support that, we're getting on this development right now.
So the pressure was there, no doubt, and we still went through the process. But I'll give you an example that, say our bedrooms, our wardrobes upstairs, they're currently all joinery.
Yeah, look great.
Beautiful. And I think that's probably a lot of the feedback we're getting from potential buyers is that it feels like we've got a 2 million plus internal sort of townhouse. But we got cost savings to go to your standard typical melamine sliders or your mirrored sliders. And from memory, we might have saved, $3.5 grand per unit, maybe not even that. But when you're paying $2 million for the build circa, it's across three, it's not even 10 grand of saving to lower a product, to put you in an area or put you against other townhouses that are subpar to what we've presented.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably a good example. There's other ones of, peeling back your hero natural stone. Again, you've got to replace it with something.
Yeah.
So and we're not going to replace it with laminate. So let's replace it with an engineered stone. There's savings, but it might have been 10K across the whole development. And I think that's really important. That's probably a really good tip too. When you get the saving per townhouse, it might go, okay, it's 5 grand per townhouse. It seems like a lot of money at that point, but across the entire development, it's $15,000 on a $2 million build contract. So work that out as a percentage. And is it going to impact the way people look at this at the other end?
Well, 100%. And 5,000 a unit, you do that 4 times and you've sort of dragged the product down 4 times for 4 times 5, 20 grand. And they're multi-million-dollar sales. So, and that's sort of the thing. And that's what we saw the first one sell really well under nice competition. If those nice things aren't in here that people really go to and really appreciate, potentially you lose a couple of those buyers to other products. You don't have that competition. You can get a long way off where, where hopefully, well, we've got to on that one and going to get to on these other couple. Yeah, it's a real thing.
It's almost a gamble to peel back that much. I think this development really showcases that our probably values in internals. So if we were to look at the resales we're up against, some of their interiors would be similar, but like you've said a number of times in this mini series, that the feedback we're getting from potential purchasers and the amount of traction we're getting is showing that our interiors are a level above. And I think at the time, it's hard to justify sometimes to clients why we're spending a bit more or why we feel the feature tiles, the extra joinery in the bedrooms, the natural stone is worth it when townhouses around us don't have that. But this is a prime example of having the competition. We're in a flat market. The competition we've had on these is proof.
100%. Yeah, it has. And that's why we're here, because it's to come out here and showcase and highlight what is getting achieved out here based on being a step above. Like we mentioned earlier, there are a couple of really nice developments in the area, but this would be in the top 25%. And what's it cost for us to get there? Not crazy amounts. It's just about being smart and making the right choices, and knowing what to leave in and what to leave out.
Yeah, absolutely. You've still got to build them. And to build this house with the finishes we've done versus a house around the corner with lesser finishes, like we said before, it's marginal.
Yeah, 100%. Sash, I'd like to ask you, so I know, we've had one of our, favourite builders on this job because they deliver a great product and nice to work with. How important is it to have a good builder on a job? Like, you guys work really hard, do a competitive build tender, super important for all the punters out there to find the right builder, but going with the cheapest builder isn't the answer either. Finding that right value for money, super important, but then partnering with the right builder to end up with a product like this, where if there's a couple of things wrong, the builder comes back. Like, it's just someone who really appreciates what they're doing. How important is that for you guys day to day managing these projects?
Yep, great question. So there are a few things when we are looking at selecting a builder. Like, definitely don't go for the cheapest price. That means you're walking into a rabbit hole, lots of things to deal with once you're in construction. In short, you have to have a good relationship with your builder. That takes you a long way, and that means you're having a smooth construction process, and also you need to get your build cost to a certain degree that the builder is actually be able to build. You don't want to onboard a builder who will go under halfway through construction, right? So relationship plus a reasonable build cost are two main key things that we really look into in Little Fish when we are onboarding a builder.
Yeah, for sure. Well said. Now, the builder finished. What was the defects sort of period like? Is it one of those periods that I know our clients appreciate what we do for them in that period, because it's, builders got to the end of the job, the sort of, I'm there, I'm finished, and now people are there picking on my build and picking all these little things. But we've come this far, let's finish it off. Talk to us, and again, it probably talks about having a good relationship with the builder, but the value and the process of what happens in that defect period, and what you look for.
Once the build is complete, we would do what we called a pre-handover inspection with the builder. And to add another level of protection to the build, we would also engage a building inspector to come and do the pre-handover proper building inspection, in addition to the building surveyor's inspection.
Yeah, nice. How important do you think that is in managing your builder? Having your builder inspector do a report.
So having a private building inspector is important, because they will go through all these building codes and regs, where in our defects work, we're looking to more of the aesthetic things. So having that report and those items is a good way for us to manage the builder in terms of managing them from a regulatory perspective. And that's that adds another layer of protection for the purchaser when buying these properties.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's a great point. Like a building inspector, a private building inspector, their knowledge of codes and standards is their thing. You know, I've been doing this a long time and I don't know any of them. So it's the fact that they can come in and really dive into the codes and the standards means that yourself as the property developer, or if it's Little Fish, concentrate on the spec and how it should be done, where the codes and standards is definitely an extra layer. And not to mention they always do a kick-ass list that is excessive, and it's a great place to start with your builder. And then sit down with your builder, agree on the things you're gonna hit, and then go from there. Seems to be a great way to go. Thanks, Sasha. Okay, in wrapping up, guys, what's something you were reminded of during this job?
I think an important lesson for this job, honestly, it ran very smoothly. Most do, but some have problems. It ran quite smoothly, but I think the main thing or a good lesson is that when your construction price comes in high, for whatever reason, don't just peel it back for the sake of peeling it back to hit what you thought it was initially going to be. I think it's really important, unless it's completely budget driven, I think it's really important to go back, run your numbers, look at the resales, look at what you're trying to achieve, and make sure the product is still at the level that it needs to be to get your resales.
Yeah, 100%, because I think when you're talking sales, potentially you're costing yourself 50, but when you're talking savings in the value management, you could be talking fives.
And it's easy to take at that time when you're trying to penny pinch.
That's right.
It's easy. But exactly what you just said, it could be costing you 50 in the sale.
100%, 100%. Ripper one, Sash?
I think circling back to having a good builder on site is important. Experienced, who has a lot of references and who you have worked with could come as a plus. So select a builder who can build for you.
100%. And nice work, guys. And cheers to Gav a couple of episodes ago. But a great team effort, and Marcus obviously involved in this one as well, but not here today. But you can see it in the product, in the specification and how it's finished off, and then you got the builder to execute, and the great team obviously in Little Fish to find the site and bring it all through to completion. You see it all come together, and suddenly here we are today sitting in the middle unit. The first unit sold and sold well. Happy purchaser there. This one is likely to be sold and probably will be sold by the time we go to market. And the furniture will probably be moved into the last unit for that one to be sold in the near future. So the lessons, guys, good builders don't value manage the life out of it and buy good sites. And this is definitely a development site that was probably purchased in a slightly better market, I'd have to say, because the market's pretty flat here in Melbourne at the moment. But more importantly, saw crazy build inflation, went through one of those that crazy cycle over the last sort of 2.5 years that saw build prices really go up aggressively. So for it to be successful that it is today is testament that you can still buy good sites, still hit really strong headwinds, and still come out on top based on all the things that you just learned in that 3-part mini-series. So again, girls, congratulations. We'll see you guys in the next week or so talking about other things, but thanks for coming together with that 3-part mini-series on one of our favourite projects, Dorothea.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having us.
Nice work, guys. Appreciate it. Anyone that's going to get value out of that, please share it. And remember, you want to do a knockdown, rebuild, dual occupancy or multi-unit development site, book a consultation with me and we'll see if we can help. Come across to Instagram, Peter Kelly Property. We've turned it on. Let's get around it, dropping stuff over there all the time. And the littlefishnetwork.com.au. Please become a fish. It's free. Thank me later. It's Australia's fastest growing property network. All right, guys, see you at the top.